I thought I'd show you a real quick video on a problem that happened to a radio that I restored. You know, it's the Firestone Air Chief model 4A21, also called the Atom. I did a video on it quite a while back after the restoration was complete, and it was from my daughter-in-law's parents, and it played fine. You know, she takes it up to my daughter-in-law's parents, and nothing happened. It would not tune in a station. She contacted me. Says, "Is there something I'm doing wrong?" I said, "Well, no. I showed you how to use it and everything. You know." She said, "Well, it won't work." I said, "Are you sure this is hooked up? Are you sure this button here is pressed in?" Yeah, everything's fine. Well, as it turns out, it stayed up at her dad and mom's place in the living room on the bottom shelf of a table, and it just sat there collecting dust because they could never get this thing to tune in. A station. Well, to tell you the truth, that was very embarrassing. You know, oh my God, you know. Well, sadly, my daughter-in-law's father passed away a week ago, and my wife and I had to go up for the funeral. And after the funeral, we all, of course, went back to the house, and there sat the radio on the bottom shelf of that table, still collecting dust. So I said, well, let me take it out and check it out. And sure enough, it would not tune in a station. I couldn't figure it out, you know. Well, I drug it on home here, and I've torn it apart, and I'm going to show you what the problem was. Kind of an interesting deal. This thing doesn't have the capacitor plates, you know, those variable capacitor plates that sandwich in. This one has tunable coils, and there's two on each side, two here and two on the other side over here. Well, what was happening, watch this thing right here, this metal plate as I turn the dial adjustment. See how it goes down, and those slugs go down into the coils. I'm not fond of this kind of setup, but this is the way it was. Well, what was happening was this metal was going down and touching this coil wire right here, and it was grounding out the signal. This coil wire, the insulation is missing from it, and apparently some of the enamels come off. Anyway, once I figured out that I had to move this coil wire out of the way, it just, for some reason, it wound up being down in there too close, and it was affecting the tuning. So I checked the wires on the other side. They were a little bit too close too. So now that I have the wire out of the way, and I was able to tweak and peak these variable capacitors, these trimmer caps, and the two IF cans, we're doing a little better now. Let's see if I can get WSM out of Nashville on it here. The reason I wanted to show everybody this little quick fix that I had to do was, it's not always a component that causes the problem. So don't just jump in and start checking components and everything when a radio fails to work. I knew that I restored this radio properly. I knew that the components were good, and I knew that the tubes were good. It should have worked. Something else was causing the problem. So I started, kind of gandering down in here at the tuning mechanism, and sure enough, that's when I found that wire was leaning up against this thing. It was leaning up the whole way, so when it went up and down, it just grounded it out. Grounded out the signal. I could get very, very, very faint signals on some stations, but overall it was just gone, But now she's sounding good.
Weapons kill dozens of people in seconds. Why would you take the in the pit?
I want to look at the methodology for this one too, because I'm
now confused.
okay.
May I ask you a... Just as important, we care for the people who belong to those hearts, which is why we've implemented.
Okay, that's pretty good. I like that. It's doing pretty good.
phone calls or texts for phone calls, questions. You can phone call or text
And I'm
us,
now happy.
with your
Keep that in
questions.
mind.
Time us
It's
on the
not
line,
always a
314-436-1100.
component that's causing the problem. It could be just a simple little thing like that.